Hello, I'm Leanne and welcome to my small batch of Big Taste Kitchen and to week 2 of a cake month. Now, if you missed a week 1, no worries, you can find that video right up there. We made tres leche cake in small batch form. It is so good. Well, this week we are making a viewer requested recipe, and I have to be perfectly honest with you, this cake is one I had never had before. I'd never eaten it before, and honestly, I wasn't even sure what it was or why it was named what it was. But we are making hummingbird cake in small batch form. Now, what is, you may be wondering like me, what hummingbird cake is? Well, it's actually a kind of a classic Southern cake, but it originated in Jamaica in the 1960s. So in the late 1960s, the Jamaican Tourist Board wanted to develop a recipe that would showcase the island's fruit, which was primarily bananas and pineapple. So they had this recipe developed, and then they put it in various newspapers, publications throughout the island to kind of publicize the bounty and the yummy fruit that is found in Jamaica. They named it Hummingbird Cake because the hummingbird is the national bird of Jamaica. So that's where it got its name. So today we're gonna make it, as I said, in small batch form in this 6-inch cake pan. Now this cake has a lot of flavor in it. Not only does it have the pineapple and the banana, but it has cinnamon and toasted pecans. So there's some nice crunch to it and some amazing flavor. So we'll start by greasing our 6-inch cake pan. This is my favorite non-stick spray. Works so well. We'll give it a spray. I'm also going to line the bottom of my pan with a little piece of parchment paper or wax paper and then spray it. So I'm gonna make sure we get that cake out. All right, now we're ready to mix up our ingredients. Okay, we're gonna start by mixing our dry ingredients together. I have a half of a cup of all-purpose flour. I like to use unbleached flour. A third of a cup of granulated sugar. We're going to use a 1/4 teaspoon baking powder. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. If you like things really cinnamony, go ahead and add in a little bit more. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All right, and then just kind of give that a little mix. You can totally mix this one by hand because we're not creaming any butter, because this recipe calls for, I'm using canola oil. You can use vegetable oil, any mild flavored oil. I wouldn't recommend using olive oil because that does have a little bit more flavor to it and will change the flavor of your cake. But we're going to add in 1/3 of a cup of oil. We're going to use 1 egg. And a teaspoon, you know me and vanilla, measure with my heart, teaspoon of vanilla in there. And then go ahead and mix that up until all your flour and dry ingredients are incorporated. And then we're gonna add in a 1/3 of a cup of, this is crushed pineapple, and I use it along with the juices. You don't need to drain your pineapple. So we want that liquid in there. And then half of a ripe banana, which I have smashed into here. Now, what do you do with the other half of the banana? Well, you can totally put it in the freezer. It's in a little Ziploc baggie, and it'll be ready next time you want some hummingbird cake, or you can throw it into a smoothie. Mix that together, and then the last ingredient is we are going to add in a 1/4 cup of toasted pecans. Now, to toast my pecans, I just like to do it in the microwave. I'll just put them on a plate in a single layer just like this. I've already chopped them up, and I microwave them for about 3 minutes. It's going to depend on how strong your microwave is. But every 30 minutes, I'll just stir them a little bit. And you really want to watch them pretty close that last minute just to make sure they don't burn. Now you can also do this in the oven. Turn your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, put them on a cookie sheet in a single layer, and it'll take about 5 minutes in the microwave. Again, watch them, give them a stir every minute or so. So we're going to use a 1/4 cup in here, and I've got about a 1/3 of a cup on here because I'm going to save some to garnish the top of the cake with. And then just go ahead and mix that in. And I've been preheating my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, I've got my prepared cake pan. And we're just gonna put our cake batter in. Now the other yummy part of this cake is the frosting, because it has a cream cheese frosting, which we're gonna make while the cake bakes. All right, we're gonna bake this for about 25 to 30 minutes. You want the toothpick to come out clean, make sure it's not jiggly in the middle, and the cake will start to pull away from the sides of the pan. But while our cake is baking, we're gonna mix up our frosting. Like I said, this is a cream cheese frosting, which is traditional on a Hummingbird cake. And in my bowl here, I have got 2 ounces of softened cream cheese. You wanna make sure it's room temperature, because otherwise you're gonna get lumpy frosting. Nobody likes lumpy frosting. 2 quarter cup of softened butter, and I am using salted butter. If you're using unsalted butter, go ahead and add a pinch of salt in. And I'm just gonna cream those 2 things together real quick. And then we're gonna add in some powdered sugar. And I'm gonna use about, to start with, 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. You may need to add a little bit more in. And then we're gonna add in 1/2 teaspoon or so of vanilla extract. And then go ahead and just mix that to combine. You want a nice smooth frosting. Now, if you find that you need a little bit more powdered sugar, go ahead and add a little bit more in. Or if you find that it's a little too stiff, you can add just a teeny bit of milk. Don't add too much, just a little tiny bit. All right, this is ready to add to our cake. Our cake's out of the oven. I let it cool for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to release it from the pan. Before, one thing I didn't show you is just take a knife and just kind of go around the edge of the cake, and that'll loosen anything that might be stuck. But then because we sprayed it and we lined it, it should come out nice and easy right out of the pan. Remove your paper, and then we are gonna let the cake cool completely before we frost it. Cake is cooled, it is ready to frost. Now, if your frosting's been sitting for a little bit, just give it a stir to get some air into it, make it a little smoother. And we are going to just add some frosting to the top and the sides of this cake. A little bit of frosting just to the plate like that kind of acts as a little glue, helps the cake stay in one place while you're frosting it. Once you have it frosted, go ahead and take those toasted pecans we set aside and just sprinkle those on the top. And then we're going to grab a knife. Let me show you what it looks like inside. We're ready to taste test our delicious Hummingbird cake. Typically I cut this size cake into 4 pieces. It's just like the perfect amount for 4 people, but you can also feed 2 with some leftovers. Can you see? And there it is, just a super light, moist, fluffy cake with that yummy flavor of the banana and the pecans and the pineapple, topped with the cream cheese frosting. Delish. So thanks for joining me in the kitchen today. Hope you are enjoying Cake Month. And as always, I like to take requests. If there's a recipe like this one that you'd like to see made in small batch form, go ahead, leave me a comment down below. I'll see what I can do. And we'll see you in the next video.